Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are literally, figuratively, getting our hands dirty. We're looking into a fantastic guide from Super Spares on what I consider the ultimate automotive journey, starting a classic car restoration. If you've ever walked past a rusting chassis in a barn and seen nothing but pure potential, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down exactly what goes into dragging an automotive legend back from the brink.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered if a massive, time-consuming hobby can actually, pay off in the long run? Can a passion project also double as a genuinely smart financial investment? That is the big central question we're answering today as we explore the world of classic car building.
To answer that, Toby, the author of the Super Spares Restoration Guide, actually puts the financial reality perfectly. He says, vintage cars are a limited commodity, making them increasingly valuable as time goes on. It's just simple supply and demand, really. Once a classic vehicle is meticulously restored to its former glory, it shifts. It goes from being just an old, forgotten car to an appreciating asset.
But hey, before you go completely clearing out the garage, let's anchor this whole project in reality. 6 to 12 months. According to the guide, that's the timeline you should expect a basic restoration project to take. And keep in mind, that time frame assumes you're dedicating part-time hours to it. So chipping away at it on weekends or maybe tinkering in the evenings after you get home from work. It's a marathon, right? Not a sprint. So what exactly fills up those 6 to 12 months? Well, a basic restoration generally tackles the foundation of the vehicle, focusing pretty heavily on cosmetic improvements to get the aesthetic just right. We're talking critical paint touch-ups, interior refurbishing to make the cabin comfortable and, period correct again, and of course, sorting out those minor mechanical repairs so the thing actually functions safely on the road.
Which brings us to our first major area, the anatomy of a classic.
When you really look into a parts catalog, you realize a car is much like a biological entity. It's made up of these incredibly complex, interconnected systems. And the parts list brilliantly illustrates that comparison. On one hand, you have brakes and steering, basically the muscles and reflexes of the car. You're sourcing fresh brake calipers, disc brake rotors, tie rod ends. Then, on the flip side, you have the electrical system. This is essentially the nervous system, requiring specific alternators, precise new wiring to replace those brittle old factory harnesses, and heavy-duty starter motors. The granular level of parts required, it's just staggering.
Moving deeper into the chassis, you hit the driveline and transmission. This is where the power actually hits the ground. So you're tracking down full clutch kits, balanced drive shafts, axles, and those vital transmission seals just to keep all your fresh new fluids from leaking all over the driveway.
Next up, think of it as the respiratory system. Aircon, heating, and cooling. To keep both the vintage engine and the driver from totally overheating on a summer cruise, a restorer has to navigate the catalog for radiators, thermostats, AC compressors, and heater hoses.
Then, we arrive at the absolute heart of the machine, the engine, fuel, and exhaust systems. Bringing this back to life means meticulously sourcing heavy-duty timing belts, reliable fuel pumps, specialized injectors, and entire exhaust components. Basically, everything you need to make sure that classic engine purrs or roars exactly like it used to on the showroom floor. And finally, the skin and soul of the vehicle, body parts and the interior. Let's be honest, this is what everyone actually sees when you roll up to a car show. Finding original-looking grills, replacing worn-out gas struts for the bonnet, and installing fresh seats and dashboard gauges, that is what ultimately gives the classic its true character. Moving right along to Section 2, navigating the parts ecosystem. Let's slow things down a bit here. Once you know what you actually need to fix, you enter a completely different kind of challenge. You'll quickly see the sheer depth of the specific upgrade and maintenance categories out there. I mean, a restorer doesn't just go online and click buy suspension. You have to make real structural choices. Are you doing a basic repair with simple control arm bushes and standard shock absorbers? Or are you going all out, upgrading the ride with heavy-duty lift kits, modern coilover kits, or even an advanced airbag suspension system? The choices you make here literally define how the final build handles. And let's not forget, restoring a car isn't just a one-and-done deal. Oh no, you are going to become very well acquainted with service essentials. We're talking about a completely endless appetite for filters, air, cabin, oil, plus ignition parts like spark plugs to keep the timing right, and fluids? Oh, man. You'll soon realize your classic car has an absolutely insatiable thirst for engine oil, coolant, and brake fluid. It's honestly like adopting a very mechanical, very thirsty pet that needs constant feeding. The whole restoration process requires this really unique duality. First comes the heavy lifting, right? That requires serious hardware like air tools, hoists, and fluid transfer funnels just to get the chassis together. But once the heavy, greasy work is finally done, you transition into delicate, meticulous detailing at the finish line. We're talking specialized exterior cleaning solutions, wheel care products, and yes, for sure, even that all-important new car air freshener. It's a full journey from heavy machinery to fine detailing.
Now, let's pivot to our third section, the Ford WD off-road ecosystem.
If your classic restoration happens to be a rugged four-wheel drive, well, the parts catalog expands massively. You're looking at a completely specialized set of components to armor it for the elements. You're going to need heavy-duty bull bars for front-end protection, snorkels for deep water crossings, and diff breather kits. And because, let's face it, getting stuck is half the fun of off-roading, you have to source serious recovery gear. Think powerful winches and heavy-duty recovery boards.
So the crucial point to remember here is that building a classic 4WD extends the project far beyond the vehicle itself. You are essentially building a mobile base camp. The parts list balloons to include rooftop tents, protective awnings, integrated drawer systems to organize your gear in the back, and long-range fuel tanks so you can stay off the grid for way longer. The whole shebang completely transforms from a simple car restoration into outfitting the ultimate overlanding setup. Which brings us to a final question for you to ponder. Are you ready to piece together automotive history? As we've seen today, navigating this massive ecosystem of parts, from basic engine belts and brake pads to complete 4DE touring setups, it's a monumental task. But when you tie it all back to that 6 to 12-month journey we started with, the reward is undeniable. You aren't just turning wrenches out there. You are saving a piece of history, you're building an appreciating financial asset, and you're creating a machine that is truly 100% your own. So clear out that garage, pull up the parts catalog, and ask yourself, what will you restore first?